Welcome back to Grading with Google. We are ready for that fun part where we take the rubric we created in the Google form and turn it into a nice looking Google Sheets that we are ready to share with our students and give them feedback. Right now I'm looking at the Stop the Spread rubric that we created in our last video. Hopefully you took advantage and created your own rubric for something you're working on in class. I have currently gone in and put in 2 fake responses. I will usually do this with my rubrics before I begin grading my students, just to make sure that my rubric is doing what I want it to do and that I have all of my information in there. It also lets me format it ahead of time, so as I am grading, I can go ahead and start giving students back their feedback. And I grade in order of submission. So if my student, whoever turned it in first, that's who's going to get their grade back first. It's kind of a reward for submitting your work on time or early in some cases when my students are able to get things done a little ahead of time. So like I said, I went ahead and put in 2 fake responses. I did that by going to the preview button here and then just filling in my form with some made-up names. You can do that if you don't want to. You don't have to. It's okay to not have responses when you first start out. I'm going to go ahead and close that tab and go back. So again, we're looking at responses. Remember, you can look at them individually, where it shows you each response you've put in, or you can look at a summary if you want to get an overall look of like how your students did. Maybe you're noticing nobody did the billboard. Why is that? Maybe, they thought it was too difficult, or they didn't understand how to do it, or you're noticing in your comments that you're having continual spelling errors, things like that. You can address it in front of the entire class before even waiting to give them back their rubrics. All right, so we're going to start the fun part, and I say it's fun because I'm really enjoy putting formulas into Excel spreadsheets, and Google Sheets works the same way. You're going to work with formulas. So if you've done any Excel in your past life, Google Sheets will look very familiar to you, and the formulas work very much the same. So to go ahead and create our Google Sheets, we're going to come to this little green square, and it creates a spreadsheet for us. So we're going to hit that. And it's going to say, hey, do you want to create a new one, or do you want to add it to something that already exists? I always create a new one. And if you're even using a form you've used before and you want a new set of responses, you can change the title here and it will create a new Sheets page for you. So maybe you did the project in 2017, you're going to do it again 2018, 2019. You can just change the date and make a new sheet. So I'm going to hit create. And you'll see it opens a tab here for me, and it has my responses. And it's a really kind of long document, and we didn't even add that many questions to our rubric yet. We go all the way through S. My rubric that I used for the example to show you guys in the last video goes all the way to BL. So you can see that's a lot of questions, and if you're having to scroll across and you see here where things are getting cut off, you can't give this to the students to give them feedback. So the idea is that we're going to take these responses, and we're going to format them on another tab down here at the bottom. We're going to format them to look neat and fit onto a single page that we can then send back out via PDF through their Gmail, or distribute to them on paper if that's what is preferred by your students or by you, or even send out individually through Google Classroom, because you can do that. So we're going to go through this step by step. Remember, this is a video, so if you need to go back and look at something or the formulas don't make sense, take a look at it. I've also included these formulas in the hyperdoc that you guys are working through. So they're there for you, and remember, you have to tweak these formulas based on your spreadsheet. So I'm going to talk about that while we're doing this. So again, we're looking at these row here at the top. These are our questions, basically. I don't need this timestamp. I'm not worried about it. So I'm going to right click on A, and I'm going to say hide column, because I don't need to look at it. It doesn't need to be in my mind at all. if you decide you don't care about the class period, you can remove that as well. I'm going to start with group leader name because that's how I want to organize. Okay, so just want you to realize I'm not starting with A, and frequently you will not start with A because Google Forms is going to go ahead and collect timestamps. Okay. So to make my life a little easier, I'm going to come down to this tab where it says Form Responses 1, and I'm going to double click to edit it so that it's just called Responses. Okay, and again, that was a double click. It allows me to edit. Once I've edited it to what I want it to be, I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to add another tab down here, and it can remain Sheet 2. That is fine. So right here in responses, I'm going to be using this top row here, and I'm going to be looking at this column C for my group leader names. So in Sheet 2, I'm going to begin right here in A2 with a formula that is going to transpose my questions so that they go down the side instead of across the top. So our formula is equals transpose, open parentheses, and then we're pulling from this response sheet. So it's responses, and you do an exclamation point for bang, and I already forgot what it was, so I can come back over here. C1 through S1. And I can double click here, it'll let me have my information back. Responses, and then we do capital C1 colon capital S1. And I hit enter, and it goes ahead and drops my information here. Now I'm able to format my cells, and I'm gonna select these because I want them to be bold, and I want them to have a font that stands out a little bit. I teach technology, maybe I want to go with Roboto. Okay, so you can do what you like. You can add color, anything you want to. Any way that you want to format this, you can. It's just these formulas that are going to make the information come over. Okay, and you'll notice I skipped row 1 because I'm going to hide some information up here at the top, just using white fonts, so that the information that'll show will show on line, or row 2, starting here in column A. So the next thing I'm going to be looking at is here in column B, and I want to create a drop down that will allow me to choose from the group leaders' names so I know which group I'm looking at. So to do that, we utilize something called data validation, and this is just a tool that's available to you in Sheets. Hit data validation, and it lets you choose where you're putting your information and where that information is coming from. So right here you can see it says it's going to go to Sheet 2, B1, that's this cell right here, and then I'm taking this list from a range. Well, my range I'm going to select from my Responses tab. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to scroll back to the beginning, and I'm going to, right here, are you going to do it? And here when I click on C and it highlights all the way down, you can see that it says from C to C. That means it's taking the entire column. And the cool thing is that as I add more responses and I'm grading more work, it'll just add to it and add to it and add to it. It doesn't matter how long it ends up being. So I can come back to Sheet 2, I can click OK, and you'll see it says responses, bang, C, colon, C. So it's going to do that whole part. It's going to be a drop-down list in the cell. This show warning is just if I do make a mistake, it will give me a warning and tell me that I've made a mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now if I select this drop down, you can see it says group leader name because that's the title. But then I can say Sarah, or I can say John, and those are my group leaders. So I can go back to group leader name here. I'm going to go ahead and widen this a little bit so you can see everything. So this is my drop down. the last thing that I have to do is insert a formula that will allow me to transpose the data based on the group leader's name. And then it will answer these questions, group leader name, group number two, based on what I select from this cell. So under group leader name, or not under, on B, next to group leader name, I have to put in a formula that pulls the information. So to do that, we are looking at a formula for transpose again. Sorry, it's equal, transpose, open parenthesis, and now this is going to be an embedded formula. There's two formulas happening at one time. So we are going to filter our responses and we're going to start, I can tell you right now that we are going to be starting with C2 because we're looking at Sarah's information. Okay, so that's our first response. And then you want to go to the end. So we're looking at S, and then you want to go ahead and go way down. You know, if you know that you're going to have 30 groups, you want to at least get to 30. I always go a little further. So I would say C2 to S40. Okay, so I'm going to double click again in there, responses, and I'm going to get capital C2, colon, capital S, 40. Remember, I just picked one. It doesn't have to be the exact final cell because it will let us just continue to add and add and add. And then now we are going to have the data come up based on what we select. So we're going to do responses, bang. And I know, again, I'm coming out of C because that's the column that my information was, C2 through, and I'm going to, again, pick one, C40. And then I'm going to say it's going to equal B1 because it's going to pull to here, B1. Okay, and then we're going to close. I'm going to hit enter. It thinks I'm missing parentheses somewhere, so let's take a look. Oh, I have 3 parentheses here. Don't need 3. Okay, so now if I select Sarah, all my information shows up. And so again, I can come in and format. You know, I want it to, let's say I want my text to wrap, so I'm going to right click and, oh, where's my wrap text? Text wrap, here we go. I'm going to wrap it. Oh, here's my link to my picture, so it'll open in my Google Drive. So again, I have it available to me anywhere I go, and I can continue grading if I need to. If a student submits something late, I can add it here. You know, they submit it by the final deadline, meaning they've submitted it before the late period has ended. It's available here. I can add I can add a section for grades, numerical grades. It will add those grades for me. If you have added grades in your rubric, part of your questions are the grades, you can put in numerical grades here and have it set up so that your grades will come out at the end. I can show you here the grades. They were given a numerical grade for each item they submitted, and then it took the average based on the information here from their responses. You can see here grades are available, 75, 80, 75, 85, and it did the math for me up here, and it comes out down here. Please take some time to review the documents that were given to you. I will be giving you a copy of the rubric that we just created together, so you have something to work from if you need something to practice with. Otherwise, take a look again at the video if necessary, and also look at your HyperDoc to see the formulas that are available to you. Have fun.